So I've been spending a lot of time over the past 3 years with the story of David from the Bible, the books of Samuel, 1st and 2nd Samuel. I want to tell you just a little episode of it. Everyone knows the story of David and Goliath, and if you scratch much deeper, not too many people are clear on everything else, and I certainly wasn't. The character that really surprised me was the character of Saul. So, in brief, there's no king. There is no king in Israel. All the other people, the Hittites, the Amalekites, they've all got kings, but the Israelites don't. And Samuel is the last prophet. And the people of Israel come to Samuel and they say, we want a king. And Samuel says to God, they want a king. And God says, they don't want a king. He says, they do. They tell me they want a king. And God gives this long list of all the reasons that kings are bad ideas. But then God gives them a king. And the king that he gives them is Saul. And Saul is just plucked out of complete obscurity. He's actually searching for his donkeys. He's searching for his father's lost donkeys. When Samuel pins him and knows that God has chosen this man to be king. And with no experience and no knowledge, he's king over the Israelites. And Saul is often portrayed as an evil character, as a selfish character, because he fails miserably and desperately. And what shocked me or surprised me as I studied the story, as I told the story, because you don't really understand it until the words are coming out of your mouth, I had incredible empathy for Saul. I loved him. I wanted to understand him. I felt like him in many ways. I mean, failure, you're not being able to succeed. It's something that I circle around a lot emotionally. And so this character of Saul really resonated for me. And everything he does, it goes wrong, it goes bad. He tries to do the right thing, and it's not what Samuel wants, and it's not what God wants. And finally, Samuel tears the kingship away from him. Saul desperately grabs at Samuel. He begs for one more chance. And at that moment, Samuel's robe rips. And Samuel says, as the robe has been rent, so you are rent from God. Another king will come in your place. And that's David, who's waiting in the wings. And David actually is living in Saul's palace at this time. And Saul goes insane with jealousy and rage, and he's out of his mind. He actually tries to kill David on a couple of occasions, to the point that David escapes. David has to run away. But the story that I want to tell you, the episode that I want to tell you, is when the Philistines, who are everywhere, constantly surrounding, constantly invading, they're about to win. And Saul knows that they're about to win. He has tried and tried, but he is not the king to defeat the Philistines. And their armies are growing and growing. And what Saul does is he prays. And God says nothing. And he sleeps and he begs God to send him a dream. Tell me what to do. But he has no dream. God will not speak to him. God is silent. God, who has told him, you are my chosen king. You will lead your people. God has taken that away. And Saul has nowhere to turn. There's nothing for him to do. The Philistines are everywhere. He can hear them. He can see them. The only person who could help him, perhaps, is Samuel, because God spoke to Samuel, but Samuel was dead. Samuel had died. And God would not speak to Saul. And Saul knew of a woman. She lived in Endor, and she was a ghost wife. She was a witch. And Saul himself had sent forth a decree that every witch in the land should be killed. Every witch should be sent away. There will be no witches in my kingdom, Saul had said. But there she was, and he knew of her. And so Saul took off his royal robes, and he disguised himself as best he could. And he went in the night to the witch at Endor. And he said, I understand you have powers. And she said, what are you talking about? What powers would I have? Saul has sent all witches away. I would not practice such magic arts. How dare you say such a thing of me? He said, I can assure you, take my word for it, Saul will not punish you. What is it you want? Why have you come to me? Because God will not speak to me. God will not speak to me, not in visions, not in prayer, not in dreams. God is silent. Call someone up for me. Who would you have me call if I could do such a thing? Call up Samuel, the prophet of God. And the woman did. The woman practiced her arts. The Bible does not tell us how or what she said. But up from the earth rose Samuel. And when the woman saw him, she lay on the ground and she screamed and she said to Saul, why have you done this? Why have you done this? And he said, what do you see? What do you see? She said, I see a spirit rising from the earth. He wears a robe. It is Samuel. And Samuel said to Saul, why? Why have you disturbed me? And Saul said, God will not speak to me. Not through visions, not through prayers, not through dreams. The Philistines are everywhere. I want to save my people. What shall I do? And Samuel said, why have you disturbed me? I have already told you. The kingdom has been rent from you. Tomorrow, you will be with me. And Samuel sank into the earth. And Saul fell upon the ground, and he wept and he wept. And the woman looked at the king there, lying in the dirt. And she said, eat something. Bread? I have a calf. I could feed you. Eat something. He said, no, I will eat nothing. The battle will begin in the morning. She said, I did what you asked. You do what I ask. Eat something. Let me feed you. And he did. And so she baked him bread, and she broiled him meat. And the king ate. And when he had eaten, he went his way. And the next day, the Philistines killed Saul. And the kingdom passed to David. To be continued. Thank you for your time.